Abubakar Atiku's PDP presidential campaign. Welcome to the show, Dr. Bwala. Dr. Bwala? Oh.
Yeah, thank you for having me, and good evening to your viewers. Can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear. Enough is enough at Soke. So you can contact us at our PrimeView Television, YouTube and Facebook handles, and you can also call in with questions and comments on +44 7939 895 108. I said it again, +44 7939 895 108. The number should be scrolling at the bottom of your screens. So you might see me, I'm in a car right now. I'm supposed to be at a wedding, a Shekiri wedding, but because of our special guest, I had to move the show to Thursday. So we're going to go straight on to questions now. So Dr. Bwala, you've been busy doing your job in full effect as a PDP presidential spokesperson. So soon after your decampment yesterday, and even yesterday you were on channels, Politics Today, earlier today, when I woke up, I saw you on Arise TV, and now we are grateful to have you on PrimeView TV, on TV's Enough is Enough. Soke, you have been very busy, haven't you?
Thank you very much. In fact, I had 3 other interviews before this one, and I couldn't say no to your request to be on in this program.
We really welcome you on, and hopefully as we get on in the campaign future, we'll have more time, hopefully, to see you and to discuss more. They say a week is a long time in politics. On our last show together, you were an APC member and an ardent Tinubu supporter, supporting a Muslim aspirant against a Christian candidate and VP Oshibanjo. What has led you to support Atiku and seek solace under PDP's umbrella?
Right. So, it's, because of the way I have so overflowed the issue, sometimes when I have to like answer the question, I sort of feel like some people will think as if one is going back to the very issue of the identity politics that I felt APC introduced, which was the premise for
Yeah. For some reason, I can't even hear you. Can you hear me? For some reason, I can't hear you too. But can you just wait? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Just not. Can you hear me? What? Can you hear me? I can't hear you too. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, fantastic. Sorry about that. We seem to have
So
had some
now I
problems
can
with
hear you
communication.
again.
Okay, I can hear now. So,
Wow.
so
And the picture quality is very nice,
most,
but I can't hear you.
can you hear me
Can
now?
you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
You can hear me.
Yeah,
This is interesting. I can't hear you.
you can't hear me. Wow.
I can't
Can you
hear
hear me
you.
now?
Is that? Oh, Lord.
Hello, can you hear me now?
I'm gonna have to let me change again to another AirPod and see. Now I'm changing the AirPod. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Right, I can hear you now. I keep changing the AirPods just so I can
No
be sure
problem.
you are hearing me. You can hear me now, right?
Yeah, perfectly. So, whilst most Nigerians are rightly focusing on political issues like the economy, insecurity, education, health, unemployment, and restructuring, some like you have chosen to look into the religion, others focusing on ethnicity and zoning. Is such emphasis good for the unity and development of Nigeria?
Right. So I am not looking at the religion. I think it's more of a myth than of a reality, because if I was looking at religion, first of all, I would have supported Professor Yemi Oshibajo over Asiwaju because Professor Yemi Oshibajo is a Christian and a pastor like me. I went for Asiwaju because I do not believe that if I had to make a choice, my choice would be premised on a religion for the principal. But the reason why this is a concern to me is because the vice presidential candidate of Tinubu is a Muslim. And he made that choice against the reaction of members of the party. Politics is about people. And conventionally in Nigeria, the ticket have always been balanced because Nigeria is split into half along religious lines. Religion plays a pivotal role in our national life and affairs in Nigeria. So much so that virtually every decision of government have always been covered or protected by this consideration. Religion is so important that when a federal executive council meeting is to be held, there are prayers. Religion is very important that in a political party, even in convention and in primaries, before any activity will be commenced, there will be prayers. So the optics that we are politicizing issues because of religion is it exists in the figment of the imaginations of politicians who knew that the decision they took did not resonate with people and they are looking for a cover. So the only reason why I objected to it is because the presidential candidate is a Muslim and the vice presidential candidate is a Muslim, and I felt that will disenfranchise a demographic in the party and in the country. And if he becomes president, it would disenfranchise 80 million Nigerians.
Good. So I'm glad that you said that at certain occasions when they're with the government, there are prayers. However, Nigeria is a secular state and there's no constitutional provision for these prayers that you mentioned. It's not constitutional. And as a barrister and former legal advisor to the Deputy Senate's president, what does the Constitution say about religion and contesting for election or so-called balanced ticket? Is there anything like balanced ticket in the Constitution? Is there any kind of constitutional provision to that effect?
So this is the dichotomy. I agree that Nigeria is a secular state, but the same constitution of Nigeria that says Nigeria is a secular state, the constitution recognizes and in fact encourages the practice of religious faith and put the right to exercise your religion and faith as a fundamental right. And fundamental right cut across every fabric of our society as a country. As a matter of fact, there is no nation, the very hallmark of democracy is the existence of fundamental right. So right to the practice of religious faith, right to express your faith in the conduct of affairs is paramount. There is no way people in Nigeria today, without prejudice to the provisions of the Constitution, will deny the existence of religious faith in the country. But I am not canvassing for a pastor. You must understand that. I'm not canvassing for imam. You must understand that. We are saying that the Constitution of Nigeria provides for what we call diversity, inclusiveness, inclusion, and common prosperity. After the Civil War in 1970, they came together and formed the 1979 Constitution. You know, before the 1979 Constitution, they had what they call the national objective. The national objective promotes diversity. As a matter of fact, if you look at Section 14 of the Constitution of Nigeria, since we're talking about Constitution, then let's go into it. It says that the government of the Federation and the conduct of its affairs must be conducted in a manner that it will reflect the principles of federal character, so that no part of this country, tribe, or a section of the country shall dominate any section of government in Nigeria.
Okay. So federal character has got nothing to do with religion, as you know well. So, and
no. You are asking. Yes, sorry. You are asking. You mentioned the Constitution, and so I'm giving provisions in the Constitution that recognize the rights of citizens and that recognize diversity.
Doesn't
religion? Pardon? Go ahead.
Yeah, but the diversity doesn't emphasize. Diversity is about tribe, ethnicity. It's not really talking about religion. But anyway, let's not emphasize that.
No. Read that portion. I challenge you to read Section 14 of the Constitution. It mentioned religion.
Yeah. So imagine a situation where we have atheists So how we've got number one, number two, does that mean number three position must be given to an atheist? Is that what we're
It's
saying
not.
now?
No, it's not my problem. My problem is that it mentioned religion, and I belong to a religion, and I felt that my religious faith must be considered. And I wasn't asking for a pastor. I made the decision because it contradicts my conviction,
So
and it was not meant to create a drama. It was a personal decision that made me go away. I
okay.
wonder why it is now made a national issue.
But it's always been a national issue, especially on the channels that you've already been interviewed. They emphasize this religion every day. And I go on to the next question: that is it now this political strategy of the PDP to emphasize religion as opposed to the issues of unemployment, of inflation, of insecurity? Are they not the issues that we should be talking about rather than to be talking about this religion that you even met? You talked about disenfranchising. No one is actually being disenfranchised, because the franchisement is the right to vote and to be voted for. No one has blocked anyone from being voted for based on their religion or anything like that. So religion really shouldn't be at the forefront of your party's campaign. It seems that that's what's happening now.
No, you are very, very wrong, with the greatest respect, regarding even the interpretation of what disenfranchisement means. And I suggest to you that probably after this meeting, you check up with the dictionary. It is the exclusion of a person from anything that brings the common prosperity of the people. So if we are in sports, for instance, and you are bringing up a policy that will exclude a certain group, they will say you are disenfranchising them. And by the way, what is voting? Voting is expression of will. We don't have to say we're voting. If I said I agree to an issue, the Bible says, can two work together except they be agreed? If I say I agree to an issue or I express an opinion, and you decided that my opinion does not matter, you have actually acted against my voting regarding what I expressed. But that is by the side. Let me answer the question that is wrongly put about PDP raising the issue of religion. With the greatest respect, I cannot remember at any material time where PDP raised the issue of religion. It is APC who are mentioning religion and they are weaponizing it. It is APC that had a meeting in where they imported fake bishops. It is APC that after it backfired, they went into churches, and our Muslim brothers entered into church with cap on their head, shouting praise the Lord and hallelujah. No member of PDP has ever, and I challenge you to bring it, ever been to church in recent past, since this issue came up, to begin to whoop religious sentiment. It is APC that started. It is APC that is foiling. And I will tell you why they are foiling it. Because they have undeserved votes from the Northwest. That is the geopolitical zone in Nigeria that has the highest voting population. That is where the president came. And that is the epicenter of crisis and insurgency in Africa. They know that for them to get a vote there, they will have to whoop religious sentiment. And that is why they are whooping it. That is their tactics to use it. Because so that the undeserving vote, the people will see religion as the basis for the election, and they will decide to look beyond their frailties, beyond their weaknesses, beyond their failed promises, and give them the vote. Unfortunately for them, it is backfiring at the moment because Islamic clerics have kicked against this. Even party members, as we speak, have kicked against it. Even some of the people who are propagating the matter, they've admitted to the fact that they were wrong, and they said, but they only needed to win election to be able to correct that. So that is my correction to the question. APC is the one that is whooping religious sentiment. PDP has never taken a position. Rather, I have seen and heard PDP members, even before I joined them, raising the issue of insecurity in the country. They raised the issue of inflation in the country. They raised the issue of the strike that kept students at home in the country. They also talked about the economic, the quote unquote economic explosion in Nigeria that has not translated into the pocket of the Nigerian people. This is what I have heard, and I have seen in many television stations that APC people canvass for. APC people are not, and they were not. I mean, the PDP people are not, and were not the ones that started this. It is APC that started this issue of religion. So that has to be corrected. Hello. Hello. Hello.
Sorry about that. Hi.
Hello.
Yeah, I'm
Hello.
really sorry. I'm really sorry about that. My phone is just blown up. All right, can you hear me?
Okay. Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay, fantastic. So let's carry on. So it was we were talking about PDP, and you're emphasizing that PDP is not the party that started this whole rigmarole about religion or whatnot. Yeah, that's what I believe you were saying before I disappeared. Okay. Now, we know that you and Dino Malai, two Northern Christians, have been now become the spokespersons for the PDP presidential campaign. Doesn't that is that not another thing now that we're bringing religion into it? They have to bring two Northern Christians. Is there a strategy behind that? What is the reasoning behind that?
So you can see from APC now it has translated to you raising religious politics in your questioning as to the people that were appointed. But let me even add to your point. Shegun Shewumi is from in the southwest. He is a spokesperson and has been operating. In the week before I was appointed, the Atiku Abubakar appointed about 6 or 7 people. Only one is from the north. The rest were from the east, from the southwest, from the south. So this notion that the appointment of my good self and Dino Melaye amounts to religious appointment falls flat on his face. And in fact, I thought you should have also conversely say, why is it that Lalong and Festus Keyamo, who are both Christians, appointed by APC?
That's the exactly. So it looks. That's what I'm saying. We are looking at a situation where religion is, and I keep saying it again. Is become. You've made a decision based on religion, on your faith and your conviction, not about the issues. So let's even look at the issues now. When you were
Okay.
when you were part of APC previously, you were stoutly defending the likes of Tinubu. You carpeted PDP, and if suddenly you've done a turnaround, and people can't understand how can you, within the shake of an eye, suddenly be an advocate for 16 years of mediocre PDP misgovernance? How does that work?
So, I have said this over and over, but I want to assume you have not heard it. I issued a statement as to why I joined PDP. Of course, I've now explained in your meeting why I left APC. So I think now the question is why I joined PDP. One, because PDP clearly is the only party that so far demonstrated or have shown the path to a united Nigeria by virtue of their conduct and their operation in terms of inclusivity, inclusion, oneness, and general ownership of the party by Nigerians from all walks of life, from all religious faith, and from all perspectives. Very different from APC. I have explained that a while ago. Secondly, I joined PDP because PDP is the only party that has a realistic chance of defeating APC, because I cannot leave APC for a policy decision that I feel contradicts unity and purpose in Nigeria. I will not want to be with a party that will make sure that that does not stand in the country. So PDP is a party with a realistic chance. Somebody gave a data analytics a few days ago that suggested that the PDP is way ahead of APC in terms of the index and stats. So PDP has a realistic chance of defeating APC. The third reason why I joined PDP is because Atiku Abubakar, among all the presidential candidates, possesses a more superior experience to bring Nigeria out of the worst. And the reason is because Atiku Abubakar, during his time as vice president to President Olusegun Obasanjo, in the first 3 to 4 years of the administration, when President Obasanjo was all over the map, gathering consensus to get debt cancellation for Nigeria, Atiku Abubakar was practically the presiding president. In fact, the late Gani Fawemi had to go to court challenging Obasanjo that he was not the president of Nigeria at the time, because he said Obasanjo has lived more outside of Nigeria than in Nigeria. And this was a period when we just resumed democratic governance. And Atiku never complained that we inherit bad governance, we inherit waste, we inherit that, and we inherit this, because the military government actually bastardized the country, because leadership is not about excuses. So he has demonstrated, even when he assumed leadership position, that excuse is not the answer that a true leader gives. We also need a leader that will be decisive. The word president comes from the word preside. It means you preside over the executive branch of government. It means you have the power of will to make
yeah,
decision when the need arises
yeah.
that will bring the country to a better start. So he has a superior experience as compared to others.
Okay, so what I'm suggesting to you, the question I'm asking now is basically what has changed in PDP? Because as I say, you were part of those who condemned the very same PDP and even Atiku for 7 years. And
I've
and
never condemned Atiku. Correct it.
well,
I've
when
never
I say
condemned.
well, you're condemning PDP. I don't say you had any personal malice against him, but PDP was, anathema to you for 7 years. In fact, you were a proponent, a supporter of Buhari. So and even Atiku was a supporter of Buhari in 2015. So how is it now that you guys that were supporting at Buhari. Suddenly now you don't want to support Buhari. How does that work? How are people going to believe what you're saying?
Again, this is wrong with your question because I have never, from the day I joined, said I am not a supporter of Buhari. I say I am not supporting the ticket for 2023 election because the combination of the ticket is a divisive arrangement. So let us be clear about that. However, even when I was in APC supporting the government, I was very critical when decisions are taken by the government or its agencies that I felt were wrong. I expressed that, and the videos are all over the internet. They are replayed. Then you ask, what has changed? In a world like ours, where the word change, it means you have a rethink. And based on ideology, every human being has a right to change at any given time where you have ideological difference with the next person. PDP chose a ticket that ideologically became diametrically opposed to my conviction. That's why I turned away. Why did you join PDP? I joined PDP, like I said, I don't know whether I need another language to say, because PDP demonstrates the path to unity. PDP is the realist party with the realistic chance of defeating APC. But let me even add, PDP as compared to APC appear to demonstrate, even at the moment, maturity in terms of accepting mistakes, making the right changes, giving your promises, and working towards perfection. Because anytime PDP set a date for convention, for primary, or any event, PDP stuck to their decision. Even the conduct of primaries in APC almost took eternity to do that. So
Can
it
I?
does not matter. It does not
Mm,
matter if I had condemned PDP before. At any given time that the path they are taking falls in line with my ideological view, I have every right as a citizen of the country to make a decision to join them. It is not a cult, it's a political association. Everything in that party does not have to resonate with you. But if you have or you find one that does resonate with your belief system, you can pursue it. That is the right as enshrined by the Constitution.
okay. So, like now, we are in a situation where the PDP, because you're saying that they've changed and they're a different party, they're uniting Nigeria when they're not even united within themselves. You've got a situation where Wike is walking one way, Autumn is walking one way, Atiku's there, your chairman of your party is IU, a northerner. It looks like a northern dominated party. So are we moving from replacing religion as the issue now to the north being the issue now? Because it looks like Wike and that are saying PDP are for perpetual northern leadership. Is that what we're replacing for? Is that what you're supporting?
That is wrong because one, Atiku and Wike, I think, met yesterday or today. So progress is being made to reconcile. Then two, there is no crisis in PDP. There is disagreement between political heavyweights in PDP. It is perfectly within right. It's only in a cult, a secret society, or in a military cantonment where decrees are issued and everybody obeys before he complains. In a political association that binds people based on interests, anytime you feel aggrieved, you have a right to express yourself. Some express by even leaving the party. In this case, Wike did not leave the party, has clearly said he's not leaving the party, but Wike said he's not comfortable with what is going on. And that is the discussion to resolve that is going on. Then the issue of the national chairman. I think Atiku Abubakar, when he interviewed, has made it clear that this is the decision of the party and the elders and stakeholders of the party. That once Atiku wins as the president of Nigeria, the national chairman of the party will drop from being the chairman. And they are all in tandem as of today. You talked about Autumn. Governor Autumn has never worked in a separate direction. Governor Autumn had maintained and continued to say that once Wike resolved his issue with Atiku, he's good. He is perfectly right. And his complaint was that Atiku did not reach out to Wike to resolve the differences. What was the first grounds of Wike? That he was not picked as the vice presidential candidate because there was a committee report that recommended his name and he was not picked. Atiku, in his defense, said the committee's terms of reference was to recommend, and they did recommend three, and his choice of the vice president did not go outside of the recommendation. You can see a political party that is guided by principles. If you apply that to APC, it is never resolved in this direction. They will pack, excuse me, sir, they will pack themselves, to go to Villa where there is no deliberation. They are waiting for a monarchical decree, after which people will be asked to obey. You know for a fact that even when the primaries, the presidential primaries was being planned, it got to a point where the chairman of the party said he has made a determination someone else was going to be the chairman. While we were in the party, we fought against that undemocratic means. So Asiwaji Bola Ahmed Tinubu will not have emerged as the national chairman were it not for the vociferous voice that we put into this project. So you can't compare apples and oranges.
You mean the candidate. But as I said, there's an electoral provision within your party for rotation. Is that something we just forget and pretend it didn't happen? It is not. It's not a provision of your constitution. You're a lawyer. You know about your provisions. What about the provision? What about the provision for zoning and rotation?
The provision in the party's constitution for zoning has not been flouted with by the party, and I think the party has even responded to that. However, what they have agreed is that the rotation of power is between the North and the South. But I must also tell you that unlike in APC, where they will pass a decree and everybody is to obey, in the case of PDP, what they did was they set up committee. This is democratic and constitutional way of resolving issues. 3 separate committees headed by individuals from across the country. The recommendation of these 3 committees at different stages said that the ticket should be left open for people to vie for it. That never happened in APC. In the case of APC, the chairman, who is an embodiment of the party's constitution and the party's affairs, said this is the person that is going to be the president. If you have even had a problem with the National Working Committee, the governors came and said, without prejudice to the supremacy of the party, we hold the view that it should go to the South. In fact, they ambushed the president. They went to Villa without invitation. And when the president heard from what we read, he said they should come and where they expressed their views. None of these stages that they took that suggested.
We're talking about PDP, not APC. So let's focus on
you have
PDP. Only because you're in PDP now, anything about APC is not what we're talking about. What I'm suggesting to you, I've labeled it now, I've already said it, is that PDP has a constitutional provision for rotation. They flouted that. And the Nigerian public out there, they know that. So that's going to be another issue. I know we don't want to talk about primordial sentiments of religion and ethnicity, but those are going to be part of the election now. So where people are saying it should have gone to the South, are PDP going to get votes in those areas in the South where the people believe it should be in the South? Are PDP going to get votes in the North where maybe a Muslim ticket is, like in the Northwest? It looks like there's a strategy here to say that we must counter them in the Northwest where no Muslim ticket may be palatable.
I thought you have heard me. No, I actually thought you heard me when I said PDP did not flout her constitution. I also thought there might be audio problem, whether you heard me, that I said there were 3 committees set up to look into this, the zoning of the powers. And I told you, I don't know, maybe an audio problem. The 3 committees sat at different times and they recommended that the power be left, or that the zoning and the choice of the presidential candidate be left open for contest. I also don't know whether you heard, but I said that it is consequent upon that they arrive at the decision. And all of these are provided for in the constitution of PDP. So because you have not heard me, I assume that's why you made the
No,
conclusion that they floated
no,
their
no,
constitution. They
what I'm
never
saying,
floated the
I'm looking at the
constitution.
schematics. I'm looking at the schematics of what people out there are saying. Just as so people are virulent against the so-called Muslim ticket, and you're rightly saying that maybe it was the APC that brought religion first onto the agenda with that kind of ticket. But now you're trying to sidetrack and say that the Northern agenda, all that thing is not real, but it is real. It's part of the politics of Nigeria.
And
We are
I never heard
focusing.
of no. I never said Northern agenda. Can you quote me, please?
No, I'm not saying that you are a proponent of Northern Agenda. I'm saying that the
So I
people
am
out there.
suggesting that no. When you ask a question and you say and you said, make sure that when you say and you say what you're saying,
No,
I
no, no,
said is what I said.
no. What I'm saying is the people out there on the street. They ask, you're going to be canvassing votes from the north, the south, the east, the southeast, and everywhere. There is
Mhm.
a feeling on the road there. We're people, we're human beings. There's a feeling out there that powers ought, anyway, in the south, and some people in the north, say power ought to rotate to the south. And they are feeling that the PDP has fragrantly gone against that notion. Now, that's an issue there. So, how is that going to work? And then there's the other issue
So
where people are thinking that Northwest is mostly Muslim. They're going to vote for Muslim ticket. So, what do you think is happening in this whole thing? Do you think these are real issues, or they are not? When the campaign comes, they will be put to bed, and we'll focus on what I call political issues.
first of all, there is no provision in any law in the land that says political parties must have a at par constitutional arrangement. In the case of APC, there was not even any constitutional arrangement for power to be zoned. It was the stakeholders who came and said it should be zoned. Even then, some northerners still contested. In the case of PDP, it is the same. So you cannot use the fact that a northerner governed Nigeria from APC for 8 years, and therefore PDP must succumb to that arrangement and produce a candidate from the South. I have said it, and I think this is the third time, that PDP followed their constitutional provision in arriving at this stage. So if somebody on the street holds an opinion different from that, I think it is the duty of us and the press to communicate to them that on the procedure that was followed in arriving at that. Sentiment has to be kept aside. Regarding people from the Northwest, whether I did I even get your question about Northwest something voting? You
Yeah,
said something about
the Muslim ticket, it may be seen to garner the votes in the Northwest by APC. That might be a strategy that they're working on. And so your party has got to counter that. And that's why the so-called religion has become an issue now in our politics.
yeah. No, I said when they first of all APC have done very badly in the Northwest. It's a fact that I don't think you can deny because the Northwest is the epicenter of insurgency in Africa, as
The
reported by
president,
an
the president,
international.
the president comes from the Northwest as well. So when
Fine,
there are
fine,
things
fine.
failing in Katsina,
So yeah. So what I do is when you ask a question on a person, I answer on the person. On a party, I answer on the party. You're asking about APC's strategy to get vote from the Northwest. I was the one that suggested to you that they're whooping in my view, they're whooping the religious sentiment in order to get the undeserving vote from the Northwest. Maybe you should have asked what is happening in the Northwest regarding their perception to PDP. And then I would have been able to give you the premise on that. But the truth is, the same argument you're making for the Northwest, someone, as you can as well say in the Southwest, even the Christians are going to vote for him because they identify by tribe. You could argue the same thing. Politicians can always, spin, generate optics, and have a conversation. One fact that you cannot take away from the preparation to this election is that the Nigerian people are going to interrogate. This is a referendum on APC. Nobody can take that away. When we canvass for the next leader, they will ask themselves, this political party has been given the opportunity for 8 years. Have they delivered on their promises? When I was in APC, I canvassed for them because in the first few years, all of us saw the result of the effort of APC in dealing with insecurity in the Northeast. You cannot deny that. But there is this thing called the gift and the curse. The very strength of APC at the beginning, when they fought insecurity, has become their greatest weakness because we have had 9 prison breaks over the last 7 years. The Northwest now, the North Central, including the seat of power, is being threatened. They say they are going to kidnap the president. And this evening, I heard from another TV, the spokesman, I think of APC, he said they delivered on their promise. They delivered on security. So, in other words, the interpretation of delivery of security is what we see in the Northwest. The interpretation of delivery of security is what we see in the capital city and in crisis all across Nigeria. When he was asked the question that these bandits have even threatened to kidnap the president, he called them comedians. So comedians, he called those who created prison breaks in nine prison breaks over a period of 7 years as comedians. He called the people that attack a presidential convoy as comedians. He called the people that threatened to abduct the president as comedians. He, in fact, called the people that has created a problem in the Northwest that has gone beyond proportion as comedian. So I don't know, quite frankly, what is the definition or interpretation of APC about security or insecurity. The most important conversation is 2023.
I'm sure. In 2023, I think security is going to be on the ballot. That's for certain.
Now, economy is going to be on the ballot as well.
Economy as well. There's a lot of things. Education is going to be, ASU is going to be. But let's focus. Just before I get onto those meaty subjects that you're talking about, I just wanted to focus on you. You come from Borno State, and people are saying that you have now, it seems you've jettisoned your own person in Shetima, who's also from Borno State, your former governor, and you've joined with Atiku. I mean, are you against someone from Borno State being a heartbeat from the, from the seat of power?
See, the same argument you're making, somebody also made the argument that I jettisoned Asiwaju for my brother from the Northeast. You see, that's the thinking. That's the thinking of people.
I'm just talking about Borno State. You're Borno.
Yes. Okay, can you hear me? Can you hear me? Hello? Hello, can you hear me?
Exercise some patience with us. He's coming in. He's coming back in.
All right. Nice, interesting conversation. Yeah, can you hear me?
It's not intentional. When I ask these questions, it's not intentional. I can hear you. It's not intentional, you know.
So I've got to finish that question. I say it's for the same reason. Somebody said also that I jettisoned Asiwaju from the Southwest for my brother from the Northeast. It is the same reason somebody said that I could have supported Ahmed Lawal from the Northeast and I went for Asiwaju. It's the same reason somebody said I could have supported Amechi, who we had some things going instead of Asiwaju. You see, people would always want to bring this. And I'm glad that you're asking the question, probably assuming that somebody is thinking about it. Otherwise, I would have loved to address whoever is asking the question. It's not about my tribe. It's not about my brother. It is about delivery. It's about, like I told you, my choice of Atiku is because he possesses superior experience. So it doesn't matter. Now you talk about the vice president. I don't have any issue with Shetima. Shetima will come from the same state. He was my former governor in the state. My only issue, if Shetima were to be a Christian, I would have been fine. I said the ticket has to be balanced. That's all. So if Asiwaju was a Christian, the same reason, if Osibanjo had gotten the ticket and Osibanjo chose a Christian, I would have still resigned from the party. We're saying that the ticket should be balanced for inclusiveness.
Okay, fantastic. I think the next time I interview you, I promise you, religion will not be one of the questions that I'll be talking about, regardless of the reason why you've tried to join PDP. Now, let's focus on the real meat issues now. Inflation, unemployment, power. For 16 years, PDP spent $16 billion in trying to sort out our power and gave us darkness. Is this the party that's going to deliver light in 2023?
First of all, it's a wrong notion that they deliver darkness. There's no way there's no way you can deliver darkness. The earth is dark. You only bring light to darkness in the first place. So there's no darkness anywhere you can bring.
Nigerians that know that they're in darkness, they've delivered it, and it's PDP that delivered it.
No. To deliver darkness means you come and find light and you take it away. This one, they are saying you should have brought light and you didn't bring light. But let me even answer that question. Atiku Abubakar was recently asked the same question you're asking. But during your time as the vice president, that $16 billion was expended without light. And his answer was that, first of all, it wasn't even 16. 16 billion was what was budgeted. But in actual fact, it was, I think, less than $4 billion that was expended. But let's just even keep that at the side. He said that as vice president, he approached the president then and gave his perspective on a model that he thought was going to be very, very productive for the production of the light. And his principal declined to accept that. In a democratic system, the vice president is to be loyal to the president. If you over opinion and it is rejected, you are not a co-president to create problem. So he accepted the decision as principal. He wasn't even the one that presided over the power project. It was the president himself, that is Obasanjo, that presided. That's why
No, no,
the
no.
investigation. Let me
Sorry,
finish. Let me
sorry.
finish.
Yeah,
Let
right.
me finish. That's why the investigation was on Obasanjo. But the whole system was being condemned because it was part of the government. So what he's saying is that if
Exactly.
I get the chance to be the president, when I know I will make the decision, I am going to apply what I think is fine. And in fact, he gave an idea of what he was talking about at the time. He said, we used to have coal from Enugu. We could deploy on the possibilities or they harness the resources from the east to generate power in
Oh,
that regard. We go
I,
to the north where we have the sun.
I heard
Wait.
you. I heard you say this today on Arise TV. But my question to you is that we know that due to climate change and all the protocols out there, the environmentalists are moving away from coal. We have coal, not just in the southeast. We have it in north central as well. We have abundant coal that's not even being used. It could be used for cooking, and solar panels will be dependent on imported solar panels from China. So we're going to get into the meat and drink of that kind of policy as we move on and how we're going to fund it, because it's all nice and well, we can do coal, we can do solar panel, but when we look at the reality of it, how many megawatts, how many thousand megawatts is going to achieve when we've got an archaic transmission line system, and also do we need restructuring? Anyway, we'll talk about that issue another time. Insecurity, we talked about that. That's another issue that's going to be on the ballot. We've got inflation. Even here in the UK, you are in the UK, where the central bank of the UK, Bank of England, its task is to maintain the inflation at 2%. Inflation is touching 10%, going on to 13%. That is massive. Inflation is worldwide. All the factors that are affecting this government will be on the table and sitting on the chest of all those, whoever comes in, whether it's Obedient, whether it's Atiku, whether it's Tinubu. Those factors are going to be there. What's going to change? What is going to change that's going to make a difference for Nigerians? If all
Before
the
we think,
factors...
before we think about what is going to change, first of all, let us interrogate what has this government done with the inflation, because I'm sure there are responses from governments of the world on inflation. When the COVID came, there were responses from governments of the world to cushion the effect. What did our government do? When nations are confronted by natural happenstance, like in this case, there were responses. So let us first deal with what this government did or did not do. And then when we get to the bridge, we will discuss about what the next government will do. That's how
Yeah,
you do
because...
accounting. You have to do
Well,
forensic. You have
listen,
to do auditing.
I'm an accountant. You're playing that kind of political game. That's not the question I'm asking. I'm asking you,
What's the question?
the question is, what will PDP do differently, especially with the underlying factors? These things are not going to get any different. The situation in Ukraine is not going to end anytime soon. We've got problems now, possibly in Taiwan. These are going to be inflationary factors that are going to be on the table of whoever becomes president tomorrow. Are they going to be, in a heartbeat, going to be able to change matters? What is going to be the economic blueprint that the PDP is going to be putting forward, or is that still in the making?
That is, we're going to look at what this government did not do or did do, and then make up our mind on what we think should be done differently. Because it is to do one thing over and over and expecting a different result is the definition of insanity. So, for example, if you are going to govern a state, you have to know what is left. One of the complaints and excuses that this government has been given was when they took over power from Jonathan, there was no money. So in fact, it took 7 months for the president to study before he even appointed ministers. And the impression we were given was that there was going to be a supernatural appointment, and then we saw human beings appointed after 7 months. So what I'm saying is you have to know what you have on ground before you can forecast on the basis of that. But do we believe in the economic policy of this government? Of course, we have different ideas. And the political parties are diametrically opposed in terms of philosophy and ideology. PDP is more of a, they subscribe to more of Democrat and Republican ideology in the US. They believe in free market economy, and APC believe in interventionist policy, socialist. That's why they are being condemned for not doing enough.
I heard you say that this morning on Arise TV.
But your viewers did not hear. No, your viewers did not hear.
I heard it, and I have a question for you. And my
So, but your viewers need to hear what I'm saying because they did not hear what I said.
I want to follow on that. That if indeed the two parties are diametric, because people always say ABC, PDP, they're all one and the same. You have now, and I agree, that they are not the same. They are two different parties entirely. Then you, for 7 years, were supporting that kind of a party and suddenly have abandoned that ideology for the Republicanish ideology of PDP.
Because the answer is simple. No. The answer is simple. I was supporting a party that believe in a socialist agenda. So in a socialist economy, we believe in intervention, right? Government intervention and then, social welfare and all that. And we thought at the time I was supporting APC, given the fact that the poverty rate in Nigeria is so much and people were living below poverty rate, before we can bring them to a level where you can say they are close to middle class, let the government intervene by the provision of social, investment programs.
Yeah.
Now, so I supported that to see how that worked. All I saw at the end of the day was waste and corruption in that system. Because I give you a graphic example of during the COVID. It was during NSAS that we discovered that most of the food that was claimed to have been produced to, cushion the effect were hoarded in different places all across Nigeria. So now that the socialist idea of intervention or social investment program in Nigeria is not succeeding because of corruption, I think that let us try, and that's what people do in civilized society. Let's try the free market economy. Yeah, banks are effective. Why? Because they are private institutions. The same situation, if it is governed by government, it will not work. So that's why I told you that on ideology, you have a right at any given time to change your mind.
Fantastic. Now, on that very point, Nigeria has been, breastfeeding on the yoke of subsidized petroleum. Is your candidate and the PDP ready to tell Nigerians that as soon as we get into power, we're going to remove subsidies because Nigeria cannot sustain subsidies? Because, like you said, we want to join the free market. Can you say that categorically your principle is in favor of that and will do so in line with the PIA, immediately comes into the office on the first day of government, remove subsidy?
No, you can't remove subsidy on the first day of government. For the first day of government, they administer the oath to you. And when you get to office, you understand what is left on ground. But here I said that ultimately subsidy removal is going to be part of his government policy and it will be done in stages. So to answer your question, it's not going to be on a first day decision to remove fuel subsidy. Of course, it will be foolhardy and foolishness to just come and remove subsidy without providing the necessary cushion and effect. I mean, it doesn't make sense to do that. So, but he said he's going to be bold about it. In fact, in 2019, he said something like that and it was used against him. You remember when he said there will be privatization of that downstream sector, upstream sector, and people say he was going to give it out to his friends. So I think that it is clear that he believes in total removal of subsidy. However, it is to be done in stages and it can never be done on the first day of assuming office.
So unlike this government, which is you've said is more pro social intervention, government ownership. They say that they want to bring in a national carrier. It's all crowded in secrecy. We don't know. It's all opaque. Even NNPC is all opaque. So can we see in the forthcoming agenda and the manifesto the blueprint that PDP is going to bring for us in terms of how they're going to make NNPC a PLC? So that it can be on a manifesto promise that, within certain number of days or months or years, we are going to fully make NNPC a PLC owned by all Nigerians, transparent, not to family and cronies, like you said in 2019. Is that likely to be on the manifesto of the PDP?
First of all, even on 2019, he never said it was going to be to families and cronies. When they asked him that rhetorical question, are you going to privatize and sell this assets to your friends? They say, why not if the friends can manage it? And of course, friends.
He tripped up on that question, you know that.
No. You and I are talking, we're friends. Are we the same tribe? Do we live in the
No, what
same
I'm saying,
country?
he tripped up on that question. They set a trap for him. Don't worry. So what I'm saying
So
is,
then, right. You want to say something?
yeah. So in line with the free market agenda and open up and
He
transparency,
already.
NNPC now is your party going to put it in the manifesto that they're going to make it a PLC open to all Nigerians to be owners and stakeholders at the stock exchange, not the opaque limited company that we have now that no one knows what's going on. Is that going to be a manifesto promise of your party?
He has already released a manifesto that he calls "My Vision and Covenant with Nigerians," and he has outlaid, the economic policy that is going to implement with regards to turning NNPC from a limited liability company to a public liability company. Is what I haven't seen in the manifesto. But of course, if you are intending to take away subsidy, that means you are going to allow that NNPC to be run as a public company. And so ultimately, this is how it's going to be. And you can bet me on that. God keeping us alive, I will appreciate if you can ask me probably the first 2 years of his administration, because definitely he's winning the election in 2023.
Okay,
and
good.
I can tell you that is going to happen.
Okay, we'll be in touch. I'm sure we'll be, coming up to the election, and when the election comes, we'll see who's going to win and who's not going to win. But it's been fantastic speaking to you, and I look forward to having more insight into the manifestos, because people want to hear the how. And where's the money going to come from? Because a lot of these political parties, whether it's PDP, whether it's Labour, whether it's Asiwaju and APC, they make promises to Nigerians, but they never tell us how these things are going to be funded. And we know that we're in a situation where the country now is got a situation where we cannot, the debts, we don't even raise enough revenue to pay our debt commitments. This is a very disastrous kind of situation. And
because we don't produce.
And
that is because we don't produce, we are not a production company, and this is what usually happens when a country tilts towards a socialist ideology, because everything is done by the government. It does not promote, it doesn't give incentive for people to be entrepreneurial in their approach to life. And that's why I believe that when PDP comes aboard, that is going to be driven by this free market perspective, you're going to find jobs created naturally. So if you encourage me to start up a business, and the business starts to grow, I will employ people. But if you say we should all go and work in NNPC, the son of a big man is going to be employed, while somebody who has come out with first class is going to be by the side waiting.
Well, as a former APC man, as a person who's worked closely with Tinubu, you know that he's not a socialist in any shape or form, and he's likely to be there's likely to be a more coming together of APC and PDP in terms of their policy direction. Is that not likely to be the case?
I actually don't know the economic ideology of Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu, but if I am to judge based on the way Lagos is run, then I will score him in terms of the way he governed Lagos. But you see, the whole idea of the progressive ideology, he birthed it. President Muhammadu Buhari also subscribed to that, which is why he is called a leader of the Talakawas. But in terms of people who drew up the policies directly under the supervision of Asiwaju, so you cannot divorce him from socialist ideology. And the people who championed the production of the manifesto of APC were Professor Yemi Osibanjo, Professor Pat Utomi, and these are his proteges. So even if in terms of business he's a capitalist, but in terms of his vision for Nigeria, it is socialist ideology. So it will be interesting. People are permitted to switch. People are permitted to change, like I told you, in ideological view. So he's still within his right if he chooses to change his mind.
Okay, fantastic. Well, we've been one-on-one with Dr. Bwala, Daniel Bwala, the PDP's presidential spokesman. It's been a great show today. I want to say to everybody, thank you for joining us. If you see something, say something. If you can't take it no more, do something about it. Okay, so if you want to get in touch with us, you can contact us at our Prime View Television for sponsorship and announcements. Okay, so I'm not going to say too much now. It's been fantastic. We'll see you next time. You're in London. Hopefully we could link up, voila. And it's been a great show. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you for having me.
Enough is enough. Soro, Soke. Over and out.
Prime View TV.